Hello, welcome back to the Daily Solve. I'm Chris Remo, and as you can see, this is not the New York Times, rather this is the Times, or the Times of London, as it's often called. And I am presumably traveling or otherwise indisposed today, so I have pre-recorded a crossword to share with you on the daily channel, and it's going to be a cryptic crossword, a British cryptic crossword. People do seem to enjoy these when I post them, so I'm going to do one today. I'll talk through this more than I would the solution to an ordinary crossword, because cryptic crosswords are unusual if you aren't accustomed to them, and they do demand more explanation. So we'll get on to that in a moment. I'm going to be solving the latest at the time of recording, Times Quick Cryptic. And this edition of the Daily Solve, this cryptic edition, has been brought to us by Sean Mulholland, Matthew Drake, and, as always, the indomitable Shoalmaster and the ineffable Josh Bordeaux. So thank you so much to the four of them. They're benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, which means they keep this series going day in, day out. I'm very grateful to them for that. And you can join their ranks at patreon.com/dailysolve or via the description field link where you will find all of the bonus videos, which includes a few more cryptic crossword solves from over the years, and plenty of other things as well. Thank you so much to everybody who does back the Patreon campaign. And now let's get on to solving this crossword. If you've not seen a cryptic crossword before, you might find it very strange. I certainly did the first time I ever looked at one. Let's see how I do with this. All right, number 2658 by Izzetti. And here we have distinct part played with ease. I don't yet exactly see what this is, but I think I see how it works. Actually, I do see it now. So every cryptic crossword clue consists, almost every cryptic crossword clue consists of two parts, the definition and the wordplay. Definition it's usually a simple synonym of the answer, just the way you'd find in a typical crossword or a more, American-style crossword. But you don't know which end of the clue it's on. It could be the beginning, could be the end. The rest of the clue is the wordplay, and that is the sort of cryptic bit. And let me point out which is which in this case. In this case, the definition I believe to be the word distinct. So we're going to put in a word for distinct, same way we would in any other crossword. And then part played with ease. I think what this is doing in its cryptic fashion is it's anagramming the word part along with the word ease. So played, if you imagine sort of playing around with the letters in the words part and ease and scrambling them up, you could reassemble them to form the word separate, which does indeed mean distinct. And that is, in fact, our answer. So now let's build on that by checking the crosses here. Thus repeatedly less than brilliant. Yes, okay. So in this case, thus repeatedly, I believe to be the wordplay. So in this case, the wordplay, not the definition, is at the beginning of the clue. What's a very, very straightforward, simple word for thus? It would be so. If you said, here's my argument, thus, here's my conclusion. Here's my argument, so here's my conclusion. And we're going to repeat it, thus repeatedly, so we'll put so twice, and then we end up with the word so-so, the hyphenated word so-so, meaning less than brilliant. And one thing that is a bit more generous about at least most, but not all, but most cryptic crosswords is they do tend to enumerate not just the number of letters in the answer, but also whether they're hyphenated or whether they're multiple words. And in this case, we can see in the clue 2-2 means a word consisting of two chunks of two letters each, connected by a hyphen. All right, here we have bird priest trapped in soft container. This one I don't immediately see the answer. It could be bird. It's probably not bird priest, but it could be container or even soft container. Pillow something? That's not really I was thinking soft container, but that's not really a container per se. Priest could be something like rev for reverend. We could it says priest trapped in, so there could be, something like that inside of it, but I'm not immediately seeing what that is. So I'm just going to move on. Let's try this one. Males revolting in U.S. city. Well, immediately when I see revolting, I think that could be an anagram indicator. That could be telling you need to anagram a word before or after it. And in this case, we have 5 letters in the answer, 5 letters in the word males. It's probably just an anagram of males, and it is, because there is more than one U.S. city called Salem, which is an anagram of the word males. So there we have it. Oh, that's funny. This looks like it could be pillow. Is there any way we could put a letter that means priest inside the word pillow if pillow is a soft container? I don't think priest can be P, can it? Maybe, I'm not sure. Pilplo. I don't think. Yeah. I don't really think a pillow is a soft container, but I'm just, for some reason, it keeps coming to mind. I did actually load up Chambers Dictionary. So if we want to look something up, let's just look this up just to explain something, because I was saying I don't think priest can be P, but maybe it can be. I don't know. We can look it up in Chambers and see. And you should bear in mind that you can't simply assume that you can shorten a word in a bit of wordplay down to its letter. You can only do so if there is actually a dictionary-supported definition that matches that. I don't think this is going to be it. Oh, actually, never mind. It is. Both pastor and priest. Are those in here? Oops. Sorry, let me get that P back. Well, shows what I know. You can see down here, priest and pastor are both valid valid words that can be abbreviated with a P. So that is entirely possible. I don't think that's specifically how we're going to solve this with that pillow thing, but it's good to know actually that pillow is, or sorry, that P is a valid abbreviation of pillow. Anyway, we'll get back to that. I'm going to look at this first. Recalling English person in clique is, oh, whoops, let me get rid of Chambers. There we go. Recalling English person in club, in clique. Okay, this looks like slightly more complex clue than we've had, just in the sense that there's more wordplay involved, which makes sense because it's a much longer answer. So the definition could be recalling, or maybe clique or in clique. If it's recalling, it could be remembering. If you recall something, you remember it. So I'm just going to, this is a way I often solve cryptic crosswords, is if I see a word that I think might match it definitionally, I'll just type it in frequently and see if I can reverse engineer the clue in order to make it match that word. So let's see if that works. English is if you've solved even a few cryptic crosswords, you've probably encountered E for English. It's an incredibly common thing. So my assumption here is that E for English will be one of these E's. I mean, there are actually, 3 E's, so it could be any of those. I suppose it could be English person, maybe something else, but anyway. In club, in clique. Oh, person in club is a member. So here we have member, someone who's a part of a club would be a member of that club. Okay, so club, in clique. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see. So here's how to read this. We have English, which is an E, followed by person in club. So English, person in club is E, member. All of that is inside of a clique, which is a ring. So if you had people who all sort of participated in something together, you could say, oh, they're all part of the same clique. They're part of the same ring. And there you have it. We have R, I, N, G surrounding those other elements. So exactly that. Okay, piece of headgear that is seen outside work. Well, immediately I see piece of headgear. I see 2 words, 3 letters each, and I see that T, and I think top hat. So I'm just going to write that straight in and see if we can make it work. Piece of headgear that is seen outside work. Okay, here's another piece of very frequent cryptic crossword abbreviation that I don't think would be obvious unless you've encountered it in cryptic crosswords before, to be totally frank. And that's true of many elements of cryptics. So OP can be used to mean a work. And I think you can possibly interpret that in 2 ways. I could be wrong about this, but I think you can possibly interpret that as abbreviating either operation, as in sort of black ops, that kind of meaning, operation of, work in which people are engaged, or OP as an abbreviation for opus, meaning a sort of a work of art. A piece of music is often labeled with a sort of opus number, opus 35, that kind of thing. Either way, OP is a valid abbreviation for work. It comes up not infrequently. So that is often IE for id est in Latin, but it doesn't seem relevant in this particular case. Oh, no, it's just the word that. It's saying that is seen outside work. It's just the word that, THAT, seen outside OP for work. And all of that comprises a piece of headgear, top hat. Great. Keep going. Greek character, villain in canoe. Okay, my first thought when I see this is that Greek character is going to be maybe pi, or I guess it could be phi or even psi, actually, now that I think about it. And that, therefore, if that's the case, then the definition would need to be canoe, or I guess conceivably villain in canoe. No, it couldn't be that. Never mind. It would have to be canoe, because otherwise we wouldn't have enough wordplay to make up the whole answer. So I think the definition is probably canoe, and we have Greek character villain in. So it's probably something like pi or phi or psi, and then we're putting a word that means villain inside of it. But I'm not sure what that is off the top of my head. So let's come back to it. Let's go here first. Vehicle parking, ? Grumble. Yes, I do see this. Okay, so this is very, very straightforward. This is about as straightforward as a cryptic clue gets. We have vehicle. What's a very common vehicle? The first one that comes to mind may be a car, could be a bus or a van, but certainly one of the common ones would be car. Parking can be abbreviated P, and if you don't believe me, we can reactivate chambers, and we already had P up. Oh, that's funny. And you can see, in fact, just above pastor is parking, which means we can use P as a valid abbreviation for parking. And when you put car and P together, they make carp, which means to grumble, to complain. All right, view of one of Britain's invaders. Right, okay. Is this going to be like one of Britain's invaders? So the one of could be the letter A. If you have one of something, you have a thing. Britain's invaders. I don't actually know what this is yet, but it could be something like a Dane. The Danes invaded Britain, certainly. But a Dane isn't a thing that means view or view of. So I don't think that's the answer. What would this be? A Roman? I don't know. I actually don't know what this is, annoyingly. Request to render song is delightful. Okay, so the definition could be request or delightful, or I suppose conceivably request to render, although that seems pretty unlikely that there would be a word that means precisely that. Request could be praise and pray tell, or please. I don't know actually what this is. What about this one? Activists, people intense, drinking a gin excitedly. Okay, when I see excitedly, I think of an anagram indicator. So we've seen a few of those so far. We had words like playing. You'll be amazed how many different words can mean mix up the letters that we've shown you. And this is one of them. Excitedly seems to me that. And drinking makes me think something inside of something else. So what this looks like to me is the letters in a gin are going to be excited. They're going to be mixed up, anagrammed, and then put inside of tense, or maybe people in tense. The reason I think people in tense and not, well, no, it could be a word for people inside a word for tense, and then all of that drinking a gin anagrammed. That feels pretty unwieldy, although that's pretty much it's almost what we did with remembering. People in tense could be campers. Yes, because activists could be campaigners. I think that will work. I think this is going to be the AGIN. Yes. So it was my first thought, fortunately. This is the quick cryptic, which, to be honest, is one of the reasons I thought maybe it would be the simpler version of this. So we have AIGN, which is an anagram of AGIN, and that's all inside campers, who are people in tense. There we go. What about this one? Okay. Pillow, I think, is finally ruled out for good. Bird. Oh, pelican is a bird. Does that work? So bird would be pelican, and then priest. Priest trapped in soft container. Oh, wow. Okay. So here's yet another thing that we have. This is the third instance of P abbreviating something. P is actually an abbreviation for soft, believe it or not, because, and you might know that if you're a musician, because P means piano. Seeing P on a musical score is an incredibly common way to indicate play this softly. So P is the soft bit. Container is a can. That's pretty straightforward. And then a priest, Eli, is a priest, biblically would be the name of a priest, trapped inside the P can, the soft container. And great, let's look at this. Something in wardrobe, husband found with annoyance. Something in wardrobe sounds like one chunk of words to me. Husband can often be abbreviated H, and I can prove that to you as well. Let's just break out Chambers Dictionary and search for H, and you can see husband is right here. There it is. I'll turn that off before I forget. So anyway, could be husband found. Yes, husband actually just is right at the beginning. Something in wardrobe is indeed the answer. Annoyance, in this case, it's anger, which I would think of anger as being a bit more intense than annoyance, but you could sort of broadly put those in the same category, and I think we are doing so because a hanger is something that you would find in a wardrobe, where clothes are stored. Most pure Charles facing ordeal. Charles can be abbreviated C. I wonder if that's going to be in Chambers, because Charles is the current monarch of the United Kingdom, and therefore his name can be rendered CR for Charles Rex. But I don't know if Chambers would have caught up to that yet. I'm curious to see. I don't see it, but I'm certain it's valid, because his name could be rendered CR, just as his predecessor's name could be rendered ER for Elizabeth Regina. In any case, most pure Charles facing ordeal. Most pure could be, if this is a C, it could be something like chastest. If you're pure, you're chaste. So the most pure could be the chastest, and then hastest would be facing ordeal. No. It's not. Oh, this is clever. It's Charles facing ordeal is C has test. So if Charles has a test, you could say he's facing an ordeal. That's nice. That's pretty cute. And then that all makes chastest, which would be the most pure. All right. Emotional part of hospital involved in various ailments. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm not really sure where to start with this one. Emotional. It could be emotional. It could be emotional part. It could be ailments, or it could be various ailments, or it even could be involved in various ailments. If it's a word like symptomatic or I don't think that's going to fit. No, I'm sure remembering is right. So, but you could imagine describing something as symptomatic if it's kind of involved in various medical situations, various ailments. But I'm not really sure where to start with this one. I'm just going to go for the low-hanging fruit, if you don't mind. Time to demand a job. Okay, this is also pretty straightforward, just like 5 across was. So time can be abbreviated. Oh no, I've left the Chambers up. I'm really sorry. I've done that before, and it's very sorry about that. I need to remember not to. So here is that chastest. That's the C has test. I know that I am sorry about that. That was horrible. Okay, let's go back to here. Time to demand a job. T ask is time. Time is T. I'm not going to bring out the Chambers for this. Just take my word for it. Time can be abbreviated T in mathematical equations, things like time, and if you're the equation for acceleration, things like that, time would be represented as T. And then to demand something would be to ask, and a job would be a task. Straightforward as that. Emperor say, being entertained by rising star. Emperor say. So say, if you see something like emperor say, it means sort of emperor, for example. So it could be the name of a particular emperor, maybe. Could also, or that could be part of the wordplay. Could also be defined by star or rising star. Rising could also mean reverse a word, because we're in if you imagine a word rising up from below in a down clue like this, that would make the word reversed. But I don't really have a good idea about what this one is. Let's look at this. 20. Needing to make arrangements for the match. Match a game, maybe, although I don't see how that would fit. Needing to make arrangements could be an anagram indicator. Needing to make, but we need a G. We don't have that in any of the words except for arrangements itself. Okay, I'm not sure what to do about that one either. Where can we look? What about this? Oh, this is that canoe. What about this one? Food component, gorge to get energy needed initially. Okay, initially means typically take the first letter of a word. So it could be, and the thing is, it could apply to any number of words before it. So this won't be the answer here because these letters don't spell anything, but in theory, this could mean the initial letters of gorge to get energy needed. So it could be something like GTGEN, but that doesn't spell anything, so that's obviously not correct. Food component. Ingredient, obviously, but that's much too long. I'm not sure. Not sure. Protein or something like that. Yeah, not sure about this one. Okay, where else can we look? Top person offers newspaper article. Newspaper is often something like FT, the Financial Times, which is the name of a newspaper. Could be I. There's a newspaper here in the UK called the I. Could be rag. You know, people often refer to a newspaper as a rag. But I don't think it's any of those, actually, because now that I'm thinking about this in a different manner, and also, actually, this is the thing I didn't even get to thinking about yet. Article often refers to a word like a or the indefinite article or the definite article in English, or sometimes it might indicate, French article, and then it would be maybe le, something like that. But anyway, that's irrelevant to this as well, I think, because this is another thing that you hear much more in the UK than the US, but an example of a newspaper article would be a leader. So you often hear about someone who's, say, a political leader writer for the newspaper, and they're writing a sort of an article that is sort of a top-line article that's dealing with issues of the day. Leader in a newspaper, but also a leader is a top person. So I think this is a category of clue we've not yet encountered in this crossword, which is a double definition. This is where you don't really have the little atomic bits of wordplay where you're assembling letters together. You just have two different definitions back to back. Top person is one, newspaper article is the other, and offers just means one of these offers a word that means the other. So it's just a little linking word there. And I think it's as straightforward as that. Oh, this was about a match. Could it be engaged? Needing to make arrangements for the match. If you are engaged, you'd be sort of needing to make wedding arrangements. What's the wordplay here? I'm going to type it in, see if that works. Needing to make arrangements for the match. Needing. There's sort of any. There are the letters from need in here. And a G, but no I. And only one N. I think this might just be a cryptic definition. This is actually, this is good to follow that previous one, because this is, I think, potentially just another category of clue we've not yet encountered. And this is one called a cryptic definition. This is more rare even than a double definition. And it's just, the whole thing is just a sort of cryptic or punny way to define the answer. And that's that. There's no little bits of wordplay. So if you're needing to make arrangements for a match, for a marriage, you're engaged. You need to make your wedding arrangements. I think that's all that's going on here. Does that help me with this? Emperor say being entertained by rising star. Isn't there a star Rigel? But that wouldn't work with the S. I was thinking maybe that rising star could be the name of a star reversed. But the problem is I don't know enough star names to think of one immediately, so I'm just going to have to move on for now. What about this? One of the 11 less sophisticated going round South Africa. Okay, I don't know what this is yet, but I can see a few things to work with. So South Africa is probably SA, which is an abbreviation for the country South Africa, and probably something goes around it. So, we could put SA here or somewhere else in the middle of it. And then one of the 11, that could be referring to something, sort of a known group of 11 things. I'm not sure what those would be offhand, but it could be referring to the clue numbered 11, which is the answer rather to the clue numbered 11. So campaigner. So This could be saying one of the campaigners, less sophisticated, going around South Africa. That is plausible. There could also be a group of 11 that is notable, historically or something that I can't think of immediately. Less sophisticated. Less sophisticated could be something like baser or, duller or something like that. And that could be around South Africa. Have we looked at this one yet? No, we haven't, I don't think. Agreed to be restricted about everything. So when I see about everything, I think of maybe some letters surrounding all for everything. Agreed to be restricted about everything. Restricted about. It is all. It is all. If you're restricted, you're tied. You could say, oh, my hands are tied. I'm restricted. They're tied. And everything is actually what I suspected, which is all. And tallied, if you say the numbers added up, they tallied, they agreed, everything, was squared away, those would be synonymous. So I think that's the answer. Does that help me with this? One of the going around South Africa. Okay, if I'm correct that South Africa is SA in the middle of this somewhere, it could be here. More likely, probably, it's here. It is that. It's incredibly useful to just try things like this out. I do this with anagrams all the time. I just start putting letters in the space that I sort of mix up from a thing that I suspect needs to be anagrammed and see if it spurs anything. And in this case, it has. One word for a campaigner, a particularly aggressive campaigner maybe, could be a crusader. And one word for something less sophisticated, you could maybe refer to it as cruder, a more crude version of something, a less sophisticated. So we have cruder, less sophisticated, going around SA for South Africa. And indeed, it is one of the 11. It is one of the campaigners, which is answer 11. Okay, so what about this? We haven't read this one yet. Members of family embracing good upper class rules. Upper class could be you. That's very common in cryptic crosswords. And you can, again, trust me, you can find that if you look it up in the Chambers Dictionary. Members of family could be something like kin, or, it could be brothers or sisters or bros or something, or mums or dads. It could be lots of things, actually. What about this? Have we looked at this? Yes, this is that food component thing. Gorge to get energy needed. Gorge. Gorge could be a gorge like a ravine, or it could be gorge like eat things. Gorge to get energy. Energy is often abbreviated E. To get energy needed initially. So probably energy needed initially is probably E followed by N. That would be my guess there. Gorge, to get. So it could be get, meaning could be put it inside this. It could just mean put it next to the thing. That's one of those fairly vague. It is put it next to the thing. It is put it next to the thing. So get is one of those words that can be used in different ways. In this case, it just means put the thing next to the other thing. If you gorge yourself on food, you're sort of glutting yourself. So a gorge could be glut. And then energy needed is exactly what I suspected. Energy needed initially. You could read that either as E for energy followed by N for needed initially, or you could read it as energy needed initially. In other words, take the initial letters of both energy and needed. You could read it either way. I don't know which one was intended by the constructor, or the setter, I should say, in cryptic crossword lingo. What about this one? Request to render song is delightful. Request to render song. Well, render song, if you render a song, you sing it, and that would fit at the end. So what would that be? Request to render song is delightful. Something delightful could be said to be pleasing. Does that work? Request to render song. Is that please sing, but in a sort of punny way? Please. Oh, no, it's simpler than that. A request is a plea. Did I say that even earlier? I can't remember no, I didn't. I think I said pray before. I didn't, if I'd thought of plea, that might have led to the correct answer more quickly. But If I did, then I guess I still just didn't think of it. I can't remember at this point, but I think I said pray. Anyway, pleasing would be something delightful. And a request is a plea. To render song is to sing. Simple as that. I could imagine render, by the way, I could imagine render being used as an anagram indicator if there were a proper number of letters that worked here. I guess, yeah, actually, I guess you could, in theory, do request as plea, you render the word song, you put its letters in another order, but that's obviously incorrect. But I could imagine render being used in that way. All right. Oh, here's our Greek character villain in canoe. Okay, well, that E sort of kills my thought that, oh, maybe it's not villain inside of the Greek character. Maybe it's just Greek character and then villain, and in is just a linking word. So it could be the pi, or the problem is I just don't actually know what this is. Okay, well, what about this one? Oh, here's our view of one of Britain's invaders. Oh, right. The one of is not doing what I thought it was doing. I had been reading this thinking the one of was going to be a. So a somebody, one of Britain's invaders, a member of a group that invaded Britain. But it isn't. It more sort of just means an example of an invader of Britain, which in this case could be an Angle. If you think of Angles in the sense of Anglo-Saxon, the Angles, the tribe, one of the tribes that invaded, ancient Britain. And a view is an angle. What's your view? What's your angle? What's your perspective on this? So that's actually very straightforward. It's more straightforward even than I was making it. So then what about this one? Greek character, villain in canoe. Greek character. Problem is there are multiple choices for Greek character. Oh, it could be a villain could be a rogue. A roguish character is kind of a villain. That would be great if that is the case, because there's only one of the Greek character possibilities that would fit here. Pirogue. I don't think I know that word. Should we look it up in Chambers to see if this is actually... I don't actually know if this is a canoe, but let's find out. It's up to you if you consider this cheating, I suppose. But I don't actually recognize the word. It is a canoe. A South American dugout canoe, or a craft with a single trunk as foundation, often a schooner-rigged barge. Also, periagua, or pirogue, from French. Oh, I see. Piragua is the actual definition word. Pirogue is just a French variant of it. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, so that is the answer, and it's a word I didn't know. You might know that if you're more seaworthy or seafaring than I am. Members of family embracing good upper-class rules. Okay, we looked at this. Oh, rules, regulations. Okay, well, that R was a huge help. Can we justify that? Can we explain it via the wordplay? So the definition is simply rules. Members of family. Relations. Oh, wow, it's almost the entire word. We R-E and then L-A-T-I-O-N-S. So your members of your family are your relations. And then that's embracing, in other words, sort of surrounding. G-U. So G is a valid abbreviation of good. That's just, again, you can find that if you look it up in the Chambers Dictionary. Upper class is exactly what I expected it to be, which is U for upper class. That is, again, fairly commonly used cryptic abbreviation. Not as commonly used as G for good, but still very commonly used. Okay, what about this one? I don't think I've read this yet. Delayed in a slippery situation. All right, here's another double definition. It's simply on ice. If something's delayed, it's on ice. You've put it on ice, you've delayed it. And if you're in a slippery situation, you could literally be on ice, which I think they're indicating here with this question mark to indicate a bit of a sort of punnery. If you're in a slippery situation, so to speak, you're on ice. I think that's what's going on there. This I don't think we've read either. Explosive Irish fellow, yikes. Expecting to succeed. Explosive. Okay, if we didn't have any letters in here, I would think of maybe TNT for explosive. Irish could be I or IR. I don't remember if I is a valid abbreviation for Irish in the dictionary. Should I look it up just because we're in the habit of doing that today? Let's look up I and see if it can mean Irish. Italy. No, I don't see Irish, but I'm pretty sure IR can. So So let's look that up as well. Oh, maybe not. No, it can. IR period or IR full stop is Ireland or Irish. Okay, so that's probably the IR here then. Explosive. Is that the definition? Irish fellow expecting to succeed. So it could be Irish. No, that doesn't make any sense if you read it that way. I was thinking expected to succeed. In other words, if the Irish bit follows something earlier, could follow fellow, but that would be written the wrong way around. So explosive? Oh. Can explosive be he? Because a fellow expecting to succeed could be an heir. There aren't very many words that would fit here at all. And one of them is heir, someone who's going to succeed their parent, inherit their position or goods or whatever. They're going to succeed them. So I don't really know why that would be the case. Let's look up HE and see if we can understand why that means explosive, which is not something that I recognize. Oh, high explosive, HE, high explosive. Okay, I don't think I've encountered that before. Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn this off before. Anyway, here's the air. So that's a new one on me, HE for high explosive. Maybe I've encountered it before. I don't remember having done so. But there we go. So HE is the explosive, Irish is IR, and all of that makes a fellow expecting to succeed, which is an heir. So I think we're almost done. Have we looked at this one yet? We have, a while ago. Emotional part of hospital involved in various ailments. A part of a hospital could be a wing, maybe? Although, looking at this, the only place I can see where it would, in theory, fit would be here, but we've ruled that out. L sometimes is a part of a building. Involved in various ailments. Maybe various is an anagram indicator of ailments, because I can see several letters in ailments. I, E, T, and L are all. Oh, and even in the S. Yeah, okay, I think that must be right. So the definition must be emotional or emotional part. Sentimental. Okay, so does that work? Let's see. How many letters are in ailments? AILMENTS. 8 letters in ailments. That would mean we would need 3 more letters. And it's, in fact, my cursor is appropriately positioned because ENT could be a part of a hospital for the ear, nose, and throat department. So are the rest of the letters AILMENTS? Yes, the rest of the letters in here surrounding the ENT are the various ailments. Well, there we go. And that leaves only one clue. It's this one. Emperor say, being entertained by rising star. Emperor say, being entertained by rising stars. Okay. I assume this is going to be the name of a star moving upwards. What is the being entertained by? That sounds like it could be an anagram indicator, but I don't see anything that would track if you anagrammed it to this from the clue. Emperor saying being entertained by rising star. Rising star. Sagan? Carl Sagan is an astronomer? He's not a star. Maybe there's a star named after him. What would the being entertained do, though? Then it would be doing nothing. So maybe the star needs to be shorter than 5 letters. So that's something. What would go inside of it, though? Is it say that would go inside of it? Oh, maybe it is. Say could be an example. E.g., if you say, right. In fact, I think I said that earlier in the puzzle, but I said it for a different reason. Actually, it might have been on this very clue. I said it to indicate, for example, for the purpose of the definition. But you can also use that to mean e.g., for example, literally meaning the letters e.g. in the actual answer, which could be these. And so if they're being entertained by, they're sort of being surrounded by or sort of indulged within the rising. Oh, the rising star would be the sun. Negus or Negus. I actually don't know what this is. I'm not. Should I look it up and see? It might not be in Chambers. If it's a proper noun, if it's actually the name of a specific emperor, then it won't be. Then it won't. Oh, but there is something in here. A drink of. No, it's not that. Oh, the king of Ethiopia. Okay. Well, it must also have been used in some context to mean the emperor of Ethiopia. I think that must be it. Emperor say, being entertained by rising star. Okay, I think this is probably right. I think we finished the puzzle. I'll submit it and see if the answers are all correct. They are. There we go. All right. Well, that was the Times Quick Cryptic number 2658. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing. And thanks for bearing with me during my travels. All right. Back tomorrow with something on the channel. Bye for now.